Hello, everybody, and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43, and tonight we are taking our very first look at the brand new legendary tier battleship for the Italians, the Lauria. We're running Paolo de Revel as our commander, Andrew Cunningham, Scharnhorst for as much accuracy as I can get out of this thing. Not one for the nuisance, Artisan's Touch, On Second Thought, Master Mechanic, and Fight Fire with Fire. For the upgrades, we're running Aiming Systems Mod 1, Steering Gears Mod 2, Concealment System Mod, and we are running Main Battery Mod 3 with the Epic modification so that we can actually reload a little bit quicker as we do more damage. From a loadout perspective, you've got semi-armor piercing shells, SAP for short. And you have armor piercing shells, meaning you should probably just shoot AP 99% of the time because Battleship SAP in this game is a joke. I'm sorry. It just is. I can't seem to, no matter what ship it is, get anything out of the SAP of this thing. I would rather shoot the AP any day of the week out of any of the Italian battleships that have SAP. Like, the SAP is so incredibly obnoxious and useless on battleships. I don't know why. It just is. I don't make the rules. But we've got 5 heals with this build. We also have 4 observation seaplanes. We're running the Epic Battle Booster because we need a little bit extra range. We're running the Italian Unity flag because if you squint just right, kind of looks like a Spartan helmet. And we're running the Vendetta Rossa camouflage. Okay. Specs for survivability. You don't have a whole lot of survivability except heals. You have a lot of heals, and they are a super heal. I forgot to mention that. This is your super heal. So with this build, you've got 958 hit points per second that can be recovered, and that lasts for 20 seconds, meaning you can recover a maximum of a lot. So almost 20,000 hit points, right? I mean, 958 times 20. It's almost 1,000, so almost 20,000 hit points. It's pretty ridiculous. But it is not like Ohio. It doesn't come back quickly, even though it's better heal than Ohio, technically. So you got that. But you do get 5 of them, so you can survive if you stay alive. But 44% torque reduction on this thing. Artillery, though, you got 457 millimeter 45 caliber Mark II turrets. So you've got 18-inch guns, but don't get it twisted. These cannot, no matter what you do, I'll say this now, I know I'm going to get asked about it like 30 times in the next couple of months. You cannot make 457 millimeter guns overmatch 32 millimeters of armor. That's not how overmatching works. No matter how much you try to put whatever his name, Jajard, on there, it's not going to help you. Okay? 457s can overmatch 30 mils. That's it. Okay? I think technically it can overmatch 31 something, but still. 30 mils is the threshold that this gun overmatches. 32, it cannot. Reload time, 22.6 seconds. 180 degree turn time's terrible, 35.3 seconds. And unlike the Colombo, these are not 360 degree firing turrets, meaning that this thing takes forever to turn the turrets from one side to the other. It's not ideal. AP shell maximum damage 14,900, so not particularly crazy. Decent, but these are 18-inch guns. Not that scary. I mean, it is scary, but it's not. SAP maximum damage is 16,600, which makes you think right off the bat like SAP would be the way to go. But I'm telling you, I have shot all over the place on a lot of different ships, and the SAP is so hit and miss when it comes to getting any sort of consistent damage out of it that it's just not worth it, in my opinion. That's just from my perspective, what I've seen so far. Secondaries, you got 135 millimeter 45 caliber Model 1938. You get 16 of those, reaching out to just 5.2 kilometers, reloading in 10.7 seconds, which is awful. But they fire SAP with a maximum of 3,000 damage. So there you go. AA defense is okay, but not really. 20 millimeter 70 caliber Beretta 1941s. You get 120 of those, 124 damage per second, but only out to 2 kilometers. Then you have the 37 millimeter 54 caliber Beretta 1938. You get 20 of those, doing 116 damage per second, reaching out to just 3.5 kilometers. And 37mm 54 caliber Beretta 1939s, you get 24 of those doing 115 damage per second, reaching out to just 3.5 kilometers. And then, of course, you have the 135mm 45 caliber model 1938 dual-purpose secondaries. You get 16 of those doing just 59 damage per second, reaching out to 4 kilometers. So, again, you have some AA, but only if they've already dropped their ordnance on top of you. Maneuverability, 36 knots with this build, 1,000-meter turning circle, and a 13.6-second rudder. So, big battleship. Concealment. Detectability by sea is 13.4. Detectability by air is 11.2. Guaranteed is always 2, and the smoke firing penalty is horrendous at 15.5. But again, these are 18-inch guns, and you don't get smoke, so it doesn't really matter. Very rare that a battleship is going to get to take advantage of smoke if it doesn't carry it. Alright, stats-wise, it's been pretty terrible. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not enjoying the ship. It's just too squishy, man. It's too squishy. It's so inconsistent with the main guns. I know 5 games, small sample size. And it's not that I'm having bad games. I'm doing my job. But it's just, it can't take the hits, man. If you get over-angled even a little bit, the Citadel is so goddamn big in this thing that you're just gonna get smashed. And I've been citadeling these things all morning with the defense, which we'll talk about in tomorrow's video. But yeah, overall, it's an Italian battleship. There's nothing special here at all. But if you look, it does have the 32 millimeters of bow armor. It does not have a extended belt. So Yamas do just straight up overmatch you. It doesn't enjoy the extended belt that a lot of Italian battleships get. So keep that in mind. You do have underwater protection, but that's not going to stop anything. And the Citadel, like I said, is literally the size of Texas. It is at the waterline, above the waterline, and then in the middle of the ship. You know, the one place where everybody hits. And they were kind enough to put a 1 and 2 there to make sure that everybody aims for those, right? But yeah, if you get caught, you're going to go back to port in a hurry. I'm telling you, this thing does not take hits well. Other than that, big guns. Ship's armed with 18-inch guns, but it only has 8 of them, much like the Ohio, but not particularly amazing. A short shell fuse time results in lower chances of over-penetration. Honestly, when these shells are able to hit something, they're okay. I wouldn't call them the greatest, but they're okay. But I will say this. This thing is highly inaccurate, as you'd expect out of most Italian battleships are inaccurate, and this is no exception. And the fact you only have 8 guns makes everything that much worse because you notice every wonky shell. It is equipped with SAP, but again, personally, I've used it against a lot of different targets, unless it's a very lightly armored target, in which case you probably ought to be shooting AP anyway. But unless it's a very lightly armored target, your SAP does basically nothing. You'd be better off shooting AP most of the time out of this. The Lauria, a fast battlecruiser armed with 8 18-inch 457mm guns. The project is based on ideas introduced in 1921 by Italian naval engineer Ferdinando Casson. In addition to its remarkable armament and displacement, both quite advanced for that era, the project stood out for its innovative anti-torpedo defense system and 2-tiered power plant. She was designed in 1921, obviously never built. And she comes with the fancy camo, so there's that. Well, I don't know if she comes with it, but we got it as a CC, so they gave us the camo. And I mean, I do like the camo. It's hard not to like black and then red and a little bit of white thrown in there for good measures. It's a good looking ship. And it sits low in the water, which is nice. Meaning there's less of your ship to hit. But again, that Citadel, man, if you over-angle even a little bit, you're getting Citadeled. That's just all there is to it. And the only reason people get away with it is because people are potatoes in this game, and they just let things happen for whatever reason. But, yeah. With all of that being said, let's get to the gameplay. Alrighty, so we're going to be on north, and we are in the Lauria. Now, like I said, I haven't really had bad games in this, but I haven't enjoyed playing the ship, which is not unusual for an Italian battleship. But like I said, I haven't been able to get the SAP to work for me at all. Like, the guns just aren't accurate enough. Like, for the cruisers, when I use SAP, I can basically aim anywhere on the ship and be able to hit it pretty easily and get consistent hits out of it. But for this thing, like, I just haven't had that same consistency for the SAP. So for me personally, I prefer the AP, and the AP does slap. If you give this thing a broadside, you're gonna get slapped. But again, it's not the most accurate. Well, I will say this for this ship: while it may not be the most accurate, even with all the accuracy perks that we took, the only thing that we probably could have done better would be maybe running the Iachino guy and then doing a full accuracy build, because this thing is, it's inconsistent at best, but it's very horizontal dispersion, which is very good when people give you a broadside. So if you give this thing a broadside, do so at your own risk, because like I said, most of the accuracy of this thing turns into, or most of the dispersion turns into horizontal dispersion, which makes it struggle when things are bow into it, but when things are broadside, it's a whole other ballgame. But right out the gate, we get hit with a double fire. And one of the things you're going to have to do with this ship is be careful with your damage controls. You've got a very quick damage control, kind of like Yamato in that sense. And what it's doing, what happens is you end up getting caught out because of it. That damage control being shortened means that you end up on fire almost immediately if you're not careful. And there's a prime example as we get set on fire. And then, of course, we're up against the Schlieffen here. And I'm not going to lie. I ain't going to lie. I was feeling pretty good about this fight against this Schlieffen. For those of you who don't know, all right, I got nothing against the TT clan at all. But they've been kind of giving me the business as of lately. I don't know. We just happen to be on at the same time at night trying to get games or whatever. But I've run into the triple division on the TT clan about 60 times, it seems like. And it has never ended well for my team and me in particular. No matter how hard I fight, it's hard to beat a triple division that knows what they're doing. But, yeah. So getting a little bit of a chance to take on a TT member when they're not in a triple division is kind of nice, and giving them the business, making me feel pretty good about it too. But yeah, as you can see, he's trying to do his best to angle, but he can only angle against so much. He went way too crazy jumping into the cap there. But one of the good things about this, and probably the only good thing about this ship, if I'm being honest, is the heal. It has a very good heal, but you got to survive to be able to use that heal, which means you can't be being stupid. This is a very patient Italian battleship. It doesn't have the get out of jail free cards that you get on a lot of the other Italian battleships. So you don't get those smoke screens. And those smoke screens are a saving grace for the Italian battleships. This one in particular, not having it, it suffers. It just does. But look at the amount of health that we can heal back. Like I said, it's almost 20,000 hit points that we can heal back. Almost 20,000 hit points. That's crazy. Especially on something that sits this low in the water. And if you angle this thing well, like, you're okay. Like, it's got decent enough firing angles that you shouldn't be getting yourself caught out too awful much. And if you use your head and put yourself in good positions, you can utilize the islands and stuff to get some stuff. But here we're going to show a little bit of the SAP. I'm going to shoot up into the superstructure of the Musashi. And like I said, I wanted to see what the SAP was capable of. We've used it at several different times. The only real good hit I've gotten out of this was with the with an enemy Worcester, of all things. Slapped the crap out of the Worcester, but other than that, and in that case, I wish I'd have had AP, because the guy was broadside, and I would have probably sent him to the Shadow Realm had I had the AP loaded. But anyway, that was literally my first game, and I wanted to test out how good 18-inch SAP would be. Now here, I'm going to try to help my Des Moines, and I do feel a little bit bad about this Des Moines, but if he'd have just been a little bit more patient, I was going forward to help Spot. What he ends up doing is he goes forward and starts firing his guns, leaving himself vulnerable to the Musashi. And Musashi is about to get one of those easy button rolls where he fires his guns and gets rail guns from the Musashi. And this poor Des Moines is about to feel the wrath as he loses easily 3/4 of his health. But you can see the enemy Conqueror is back there, and he has decided to start shooting me again. And of course, in true Conqueror fashion, it's guaranteed fire every time. But I'm trying to get rid of the Musashi. The Musashi is the one thing stopping me from going forward. I know there's another one of me, Lauria, around the corner, so I don't want to put myself out there to be in the middle of a crossfire. But I want this freaking Musashi gone. But he's going to break spot because I'm reversing here. Again, just trying to, like, limit who can shoot me. I didn't want the Lauria that's around the corner potentially getting a shot over the island and introducing himself to my gigantic citadel. But as we try to push back forward, this Conqueror is going to try and kite away. And this Conqueror is everything that's wrong with every Conqueror player in general. Like, the Conqueror is such a good ship. It is so capable. And so often you see the Conqueror get played in such a way that makes it almost irrelevant during a match. Now, to his side, he'll be like, oh, look how much damage I'm doing. But he's not. He's doing, it's not meaningful damage, right? Like, I'm able to heal all of the damage back that he's doing to me. I'm the one with the super heal out of here. You've got the Battleship next to me and the Des Moines next to me. And so I'm trying to take some hits. Give them a break. And as we say that, we manage to get rid of the Musashi, but unfortunately Musashi also manages to get rid of Des Moines. Not ideal. But Conqueror gets a fire on us, and I wait. I don't want to go ahead and use my damage control, because again, if we're going to end up getting set back on fire, it's not ideal. Now, we have managed to angle away from the enemy Lauria that went to the middle. Our team is in a good place to intercept those guys in the middle, and we have a cruiser that's over here. I believe it's a Michelangelo ? But this cruiser over here is in a little bit of a pickle. He's low health, he's up against a DPM cruiser, and I want to go over and help him, but I also know that we need to get this cap. This cap could come down and be the reason that we win the game, if we win the game, right? So, it's my job to make sure that we get this cap at all costs. Before I go any further. Now, our cruiser, unfortunately, has got himself beached, and so he can't really get away. And that Worcester and Conqueror are going to do a number. And I don't know if you guys noticed it or not, but the Lauria that was in the middle of the map was also taking pot shots at this guy's broadside in the meantime. But unfortunately, our cruiser is going to end up going down here. We did end up we were going to rotate our guns to the left because our goal was to initially go back towards the middle, but after the Lauria dies, and then this friendly cruiser goes down, our team has the win, even if we're in the loss right now. Like, we're losing the game, right? And if these guys turn and run and hide behind this island and get away, they win the match, potentially. So I've got to make sure that I put myself in a situation where I can help the team win. And to do that, I say it all the time, we don't chase kites, right? Well, in this situation, if we don't, there's a good chance we lose this match, as we lose our Z-52, unfortunately. Our team is going to be fighting their backsides off for the middle of the map. And it's going to be up to us to take on the Worcester and the Conqueror over here and come out on top. We do have 2 heals left. We do have our spotter planes left, so we're going to be able to get some accuracy potentially. Plus, I would expect this guy to be right around the corner. Now, you can see he fires his guns here, and I'm glad he kind of, like, gave himself away, because, like, he had no idea I was there, right? Like, there's just nothing there for him. By the time he does see me, he loses all of his health. Now, to his credit, he did get angled away, but it was too little too late. And he's so low health that I know all I got to do is shoot a superstructure a couple of times and he's dead. And so we absolutely crunched him with the first shot, and then we go ahead and hit him again, going for superstructure and finishing him off. Now, we go ahead and put out the double fire, knowing full well that we're up against a Conqueror, but we do have fight fire with fire. But we are going to close the distance on this Conqueror. Now, I've got to do my job the best that I can to dodge as many shells as possible here, because the Conqueror's HE pins pretty much everywhere on this ship. So the more shells that I can dodge, the better it's going to be for me. And we are going to absolutely chunk this guy. Now, one thing I wish I could have had the opportunity to do was test the SAP on the Conch. But of course, Conch, as soon as he hits me for the first time, when my damage control's on cooldown, double fire. But I know that I've got good pin angles, So we're going to go ahead and go for the thin bow side plating there. But you'll see that we end up hitting some armor on the Conqueror still. And we don't overmatch the Conqueror. So we weren't able to get enough shells through the cheek there. But we do still want to maintain some angle. He's got a double fire burning, but we got another super heal coming up. It may not be Conqueror levels of super heal, but it's a pretty good heal. And you can see he gets the triple fire. That's going to be an automatic damage control thanks to fight fire with fire, which if you have the opportunity to use it as a battleship captain, there's no reason not to. Not only does it give you the ability to get those perma-fires put out automatically if they get a triple fire, but it also reduces the overall amount of damage you take from fires and floods. Now here we go ahead and go for center of mass, aiming just above the belt. You can see we do end up unfortunately getting a couple of shells down into the belt, and they end up ricocheting, but we still slapped him pretty good. And the further out we get, the more likely I am to be able to pin him. And you can see he's starting to kind of accept the fact that I'm pushing faster than he can reverse. So now he's going to try to go forward. And again, I have to respect the fact that he can load AP at any time, right? So we have to maintain some angle. We know we got a ridiculously bad citadel. But you can see, unfortunately, I damage control prematurely, and he gets the fire that ends up being my death. Because, of course, he does. His secondaries get the fire to bail him out, and that's going to end up being what kills me. Now, we did our job. We gave the team the best possible chance to win. And you can see there's just nothing I can do here, unfortunately. I look to see what they're up against. It's a Venezia. And given the fact that our team is on both sides of the Venezia, I was like, okay, this should be a win, right? Like, all they got to do is kill the Venezia. We win. We're about to have the 2 caps to 1 advantage. And as long as they kill him, we win. And he is pinched between everybody, so they should have no trouble killing him. And sure enough, Yamato is able to finish him off. So that's the best game that I've had in this thing so far. I don't think it's the worst ship at Legendary tier, but it's definitely not one of my favorites. I think it's just a little too squishy for something that doesn't get the extra smoke screens and stuff like that. But the heals are nice, and so if you can stay patient and pick your fights a little bit more selectively, this thing is going to probably pay off for you, especially if you can get into a position where people give it a broadside. Because like I said, this thing is pretty nasty if somebody gives it a broadside because of that horizontal nature of its dispersion. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, and if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.